I'm so excited to introduce today's panel of judges. We have Ramon Catania, Director of Supplier Initiatives at Dick's Sporting Goods, Wendy Jacquez, Staff Global Supply Manager at Cruise LLC, and Ernie Flores, Supplier Diversity Manager and Supplier Diversity and Inclusion Manager.
Oh, nice.
Of Impact Spending at Kaiser Permanente. And folks, if you wouldn't mind just making sure your lines are muted so we don't get any background noise going on throughout the course of our presentations today. But welcome to our judges. We're so excited to have you, and we're so glad that you've joined us to share your knowledge with all of our presenters today. So a couple of rules and guidelines before we get started. Each company will have 5 minutes to pitch their business. We ask that only one presenter participates from each company. After each presentation, the judges will have 10 minutes to provide feedback and Q&A. And no presentation, no problem. This program is designed to be informal and provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. If you're not speaking, we just ask again that you please mute your microphone to avoid any background noise. Sean Honesty from Team NGLCC is going to be providing warnings at 1 minute and at 30 seconds. Sean, could you say hello to the folks here on the line?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Sean Honesty. I use he, him pronouns, and I serve as the executive assistant to our co-founders here at NGLCC. And I'm really looking forward to another great round of sip and pitch here today. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Sean. So Sean will be giving a verbal warning. Please don't get mad at him for interrupting you. He is just trying to keep you on time so that you know how much time you have left in your presentation. This is a judgment-free zone. So this whole sip and pitch program is designed to help all of you enhance your pitch, grow your company, and all feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration. And finally, and most importantly, have fun. It is Friday afternoon, so this is sip and pitch. So feel free to pour yourself something to drink. I've got my ice water here, but might crack into some wine a little bit later. But have fun. That's what we're here for today. So without further ado, I'm so excited to turn it over to our first presenter of round one, Equality MD. Take it away.
Hello, how are you all? I'm going to try to share my screen here. I'm going to need, there we go. All right, it might not be in full screen mode, but are you able to see?
Yep, looks good.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Justin Ayers, and pronouns he, him, and I'm the founder and CEO of Equality MD, the Match.com of telehealth. Since the pandemic began, Americans using telehealth 38 times more than we were before. And then there's no secret that there's a mental health crisis going on in our country, and that's really kind of the second pandemic that we're going to be experiencing. Almost 60% of all telehealth visits are mental health related. In 2016, the National Institutes of Health declared that the LGBTQ community is a health disparity population. What does that mean? That means that this community suffers from unique healthcare concerns, a lack of access to care, and historic and systemic discrimination. Our community also says that 72% believe mental health is their primary healthcare concern. These healthcare inequities have real consequences. 56% of LGBTQ Americans, when they seek medical care, experience discrimination, causing 28% to avoid care altogether. This discrimination costs the nation $210 billion a year, about 1% of its GDP. There are also significant data gaps concerning LGBTQ consumer behavioral data and patient journey data. Without this information, patients and providers are unable to make data-driven informed healthcare choices, and businesses lose out on opportunities to authentically engage the $1.7 trillion LGBTQ consumer market. Our solution at Equality MD is to deliver inclusive, personalized care. All of the providers on our telehealth platform must go through LGBTQ cultural competency training. Our machine learning matching algorithm matches patients with providers based on their unique life experiences and personal identities. Patients have the freedom to handpick the provider of their choice based on their compatibility score and their personal budgets, effectively making them the superhero of their own healthcare story. All of this takes place within our HIPAA GDPR compliant ecosystem, which produces incredibly valuable new data insights. Our secret sauce is our tech, our training, and our trust. Our machine learning matching algorithm makes the patient-provider relationship more personal and puts humanity back into healthcare. We create safe spaces where patients can be their authentic selves and receive the care they deserve. In our entire lifetimes, our team has been building trust amongst the community as industry leaders and industry experts. And we've been building trust with community partners so that our customer acquisition costs are lower and we can organically enter new markets quickly as we scale. We charge patients and providers a monthly subscription fee and also charge providers a percentage session fee for using our platform. Our go-to-market strategy entails many things, not the least of which is working with Boston Scientific, thanks to the NGLCC, thanks for that, and they're helping us become B2B market ready by next year. We're working with a pilot program out in San Diego. They're a mental health clinic with providers across 20 states and Canada, and we'll soon be onboarding more virtual clinics into our platform. We'll also be working with influencer marketing, digital marketing, and deploying targeted strategies in cities and states across the country as we grow and leverage our partnerships, as well as introduce a health and wellness marketplace. Our community is truly unique in that it's growing organically. As more and more young people increasingly come out, because laws are changing and social norms are evolving. Interestingly, 53% of straight Americans consider themselves to be allies, which means they're also potential customers of ours. This market is huge. PitchBook is called the $216 billion LGBTQ telehealth market, significant, vital, and growing, and identified Equality MD last fall as one of only 5 participants in this market. It's a big market out there for telehealth, but we stand out in a number of ways. Unlike the other competitors that PitchBook provide, we serve the entire LGBTQ plus community. We allow providers to set their own rates,
1 minute left,
their own providers, and we give cultural competency training. We're not a virtual pill mill, and our bigger competitors like Teladoc and Amazon are potential exit strategies. The projections you see here only show subscription revenue. We have a reach of 10 million people already thanks to our go-to-market partners. If we reach 200,000 of those, we can hit 140 million ARR by next 2025. Our team is as diverse as the community we serve. In my entire life as a former healthcare
30
trial
seconds
lawyer,
left.
I've been asked one question more than any other, and that's where can I find a provider that makes me feel safe? Thanks to this dedicated team, we've created a product that permanently solves that problem. Thank you for your interest in Equality MD. I look forward to your questions.
All right, awesome, Justin. Thank you so much. I will turn it over to our judges, and Wendy, let's start with you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Justin. It was a good presentation. One of the things that really struck me straight out of the gate is you compared yourself to Match.com, which really set my framework for what I was about to hear. So I found that extremely helpful. One of the things on slide page 2, I was so busy trying to read the percentages and the numbers that I actually lost track of what you were saying. So I'm thinking maybe of a way to simplify that graphic so that I'm actually paying more attention to you and less attention to trying to read the chart. I really liked some of the words you used. You talked about trust, you talked about humanity, and I think those things really resonate. Where I'm wondering is if I'm buying your services, it seems like my employees are going to pay $30 a month for those services. And I wasn't 100% clear, am I paying for the matching so that they get matched with a provider? There was just a little bit of confusion. But overall, I thought it was a great presentation and it seems like a really great product service.
Thank you. I'm happy to address the one question about the confusion as to what you get. So the $30 a month that the patient pays allows you to create a profile, and you create a profile for yourself. And again, much like Match.com, you create a profile of your ideal provider. And you could then have that matching compatibility, and you see what score that our machine learning algorithm rates And you also see transparently what the price is per hourly session that that provider charges. So you are in total control of who you see when you see them and how much you pay.
Thank you. Thanks for clearing that up. I like the total control.
Yeah, don't we all?
All right. Thank you so much, Wendy. Ernie, over to you.
Ernie, I think you're on mute.
No, I thought it was a great presentation as well. You did a great job at describing your products and services. And I think for me, the only question is like the presentation. Who's the audience geared towards? It geared towards members, investors,
Investors.
investors. Okay.
Yeah. And this is basically a 10 to 15 minute pitch boiled down into 5.
Yeah. No. I understand that. So yeah, I know. I thought maybe, and I don't know how you even do this, but the majority of some of the services and products that I've experienced proposals for have had some sort of case studies, and I know it's kind of difficult to get into that when you're dealing in this area, but like success stories in terms of how your client satisfaction rates or something along those sorts.
We
I
do
think
have those, and unfortunately, as you say, there's just not enough time.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's the only input I would have for you.
We're looking to have some more of those types of user stories as we work with our new virtual clinic, as I'm calling them, Open Mind Health, as they serve patients and providers in 20 states and Canada. And they're a really good opportunity for us to grow, and they're allowing us to bring on different types of providers, not just the psychologists and psychiatrists we typically think about, but the clinical social workers, the occupational therapists, the marriage counselors, the grief counselors. And those aren't state-restricted licensed providers, so that they can work with anybody, anywhere, really in the world. Whereas the psychiatrists are currently under federal law state-restricted, and they can only serve those patients in the states where they're licensed.
Okay. No, that sounds great.
Great. Thanks for that feedback, Ernie. And last but certainly not least, Ramon.
Hi, Justin. Great presentation, fascinating and really interesting work too. Few questions. One, as you scale the business, can you just elaborate a little bit on your provider network and how you grow that to really to treat patients?
Great question. First of all, our go-to-market partners, I said that a few times, but I didn't have enough time to really go into it. So our first one is OutCare Health. OutCare Health is the nation's premier LGBTQ cultural competency training organization. They're 501c3 based out of Indianapolis, Indiana. Their founder, which they created the organization in 2015, is our chief medical officer named Dr. Dustin Wowski. He's a clinical psychiatrist. They have a network of 3,500 providers and 1 million patients. We surveyed them several times over the past year. 1,200 of their providers want to join our platform and bring their patients with them.
Wow.
And so we're starting with them. And then in addition to that, we're working with an entire clinic as a B2B model to see how we can take a clinic that's got about 50 to 100 providers and work to get them on board as a virtual clinic as we seek to work with other hospital systems and clinics like the Whitman Walker Clinic in DC, for example, as we grow and scale our operations through our partnerships, not just only OutCare Health, but the NGLCC, and other groups like that.
Oh, that's great. And then the second question I had, you talked about providers setting their own rates.
Yes.
I was curious how insurance coverages intersect with this work.
Yeah, as a former guy that made sure that in the healthcare system, that if you filed an insurance claim, you didn't get it. That was my job as a healthcare lawyer.
Yeah.
We're not touching insurance with a 10-foot pole, at least for the first 12
Okay.
months. That's a whole other ball of wax. But what's great is working with companies like Open Mind Health as a clinic. They deal with insurance all the time. So does OutCare Health and their providers. We're going to be working and finding how to integrate our platform to be insurance agnostic as much as possible, so that those who have insurance can get insurance to help pay for it. Currently, what we do is a cash model, much like Hims, Hers, Row, and some of the other virtual pill mills do. We're not virtual pill mills, but what they do is they create what's called a super bill. And you give the super bill to the patient submits to their insurance provider, whether it be through the employer or through the marketplace. And then a lot of times they're reimbursed and other times they're not. But that's what we're doing right now to start. But rather than try to boil the ocean, we figured we'd start on a cash model first.
I think that's a great, I like that because from a provider perspective, right? When you go when it's on the patients to submit their claims to providers, don't have to interact with that, which I think that's great.
Providers like it because pretty much every other platform out there, if you go to Cerebral, for example, you have a set hourly rate and you don't have a choice. But what if you just came out of med school? Your rate probably is going to be for someone who's been working 30 years in the field. And we want providers to be able to really own their own practice. So we say, Equality MD, your health your way. For our providers, it's your practice your way. It gives people real control over how they conduct their mental health business or primary care business as we seek to explore other opportunities. And providers also like the fact that it's a one-stop shop. Currently, a lot of providers using multiple different platforms, one for writing prescriptions, one for scheduling, one for video conferencing, even all in one-stop shop. And we're also a marketing engine to help them reach authentically a community that they would like to, but don't otherwise have the ability to do so.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, very impressive work. I think it's a great presentation. I think it resonates. So very good, very good. Yeah.
I love presenting. Never give a former lawyer a microphone, as they say.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all the feedback, judges, and Justin, fantastic job. I'm now going to turn it over to our next presenter for round one, Toller Financial Group. Fran, take it away.
Hey, 1 second. I thought I was third, so just give me one quick minute. Presentation up. Oops, hang on.
No worries.
Getting there. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
All right, let's go. I'm Fran Toller with Toller Financial Group, and I'm here to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is sustainable personal finance. Now, I'm the leader of a small firm, so we are not your typical supplier diversity through NGLCC because we're just a group of 5 or 6 people providing direct services to clients, and we don't really have a great role in the supplier diversity world. But nonetheless, we're passionate about our community, and I want to tell you a little bit more about what we do. We are a certified LGBT-owned business enterprise, and we've been working in our community here for over 20 years, and my office is in Silver Spring, Maryland. So why sustainable? In what context do I mean that? So first of all, I like to make sure that our clients are making financial choices and that are creating personal financial sustainability for them. I want my clients to live long, happy, productive lives, and I don't want them to be worrying about their financial resources shrinking towards the end of their life. Additionally, we're looking for financial products and investment partners that are on a globally sustainable path. We're looking for our clients to be able to invest their values into the world that they're trying to build and that they want to live in. So we really want our community to succeed. This is what made me passionate about becoming a financial advisor. I felt like in my early years of being in the finance industry that they're not really set up to take care of people like me or my village. So I set out to create a financial firm that really specializes in that. And I just wanted to say, Justin, I really resonated with what you said about service gaps, discrimination, cultural competence. These are absolutely core to who we are. We're seeking to help people with all the normal like financial topics in addition to sustainability, and doing it in a way that people really feel listened and heard and they're in a situation they can trust. We believe that your family needs a plan that's just for you. We work on a very customized basis. We bring very high level ideas to a down to earth level. And we make sure that our clients feel like they really have a home in our firm. The services that we provide are principally 3 types. Most of our clients start with a comprehensive financial plan. It's like a deep dive into all the strengths and weaknesses of their plan, We model it on some really powerful technology that helps them see the good, the bad, and where they're headed financially. And we can tinker with all the assumptions so even a super geeky data analytic person can really start to understand and enjoy and appreciate these projections. That typically leads into an investment management relationship. This is where we really get on our client's team. This is where we're there long-term to help them through the ups and downs of life. They inherited money, they got a raise. Their kids need $20,000 of therapy over the next year. Whatever it is, all the good and bad things that hit them financially, we're constantly adjusting their plan. No financial plan is good for more than about a week after it's made. So we're there by their side. And lastly, insurance is a very small part of our business, the only part that's not a fee-based fiduciary business. But it's important because we want our clients to have properly structured life, disability, and long-term care insurance. And there's a scarcity of objective, trustworthy providers out there to get those services to them. For business owners and professional practice owners like therapists or doctors or whoever, we have a special expertise in helping them set up their business cash flow, retirement plans, and benefits in the most advantageous way possible for them. And lastly, for investment management, we do specialize in sustainable investment. It's a big topic, but very briefly, we engage with investment companies that pay attention to the underlying companies they're investing in. Are they good environmental partners? Do they pay attention to racial and equity, pay gaps and inclusion? Are they on top of climate change? And we're particularly looking in getting our clients exposure to industries that are leading the way in many of these fields. So that's who we are, Toller Financial Group. We do free consultations literally for anybody because we truly believe we're here to serve our community, and we'll just help decide with you whether we're a good fit to work together. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Fran. Great job. Ernie, we will start with you for judges' feedback.
Okay, so great presentation. Good job on describing your products and services. My questions probably would be like, where's your market base? How are you attaining customers right now? Who are you going after? Those type of questions.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'm going after recruiting as much as I am clients. So one of the things about a business like mine is you spend the first decade kind of half starving to death, and you spend the next decade, if you're good, like learning to manage capacity. And that's really where I am as a business owner, is learning to manage capacity. We're hiring and growing really fast. We have a great client base here in the Washington, D.C. area, very strong connections to a variety of communities. And we always love new clients, but we have a very strong natural flow of clients right now. So if I had one ask, it would be for my next outstanding hire. Because that's kind of where you get to as a business person. You're like, pour more gas on the fire, and then you're like, we're all burning, right? So that's kind of how it works.
Okay, that's the only question I have for you.
All right, thanks, Ernie. Ramon, over to you.
Hi, Fran. Great job.
Thank you, Ramon.
I had a question on the pricing model. So you talked about the $3,000 for the deep dive assessment front end, and then the 1% on the investment management side. And so as I was thinking through it, let's say I'm a private practice physician, right? And I'm starting a practice. Maybe I'm straight out of residency.
Right.
It might be tough to spend that $3,000 there. But I was considering, do you have anything else in your menu? For instance, when a physician, is later in their practice, and they don't have the college loans that they need to run up against, so on and so forth, on the investment management side. So is there a menu, or is it just those two, like 3,000 and 1%?
There are adjustments.
Okay.
I will adjust the price up or down if the complexity of the plan warrants it. And I also do low income pricing. If someone, in my view, has a compelling case for why they need a reduced fee, I'm willing to do it.
Sure.
But, typically what we find is, it costs us probably more like $5,000 to $7,000 to provide a financial plan. So we're already, trying to make it as accessible as possible. So I don't make a lot of routine adjustments downward to the
Sure.
price anymore. If someone's a business owner, we do often have to charge a bit more because of complexity.
Okay. And then the other question was on the investment management side. It said 1% up to $1 million. And then
And
once
then
you get past
it's
that,
less.
got it.
So
Okay.
it trails off. It's actually
Sure.
more of like, they call it a waterfall scenario. It's about 1.25% for real small accounts. It's about 1 up to $1 million. And then it's about 0.5% over $1 million. This is a pretty typical fee structure for an investment advisor. We're not on the high or the low side. We're like right down the middle.
Yeah. And then the one other note I'll make is that I really enjoyed the introduction where you talked about kind of that curated model that's specific to like the needs of like, a family. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of the presentation. Great job.
Thanks. I've worked really closely with Rainbow Families, which is a small DC organization. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, that supports LGBTQ headed families. That's been one of my closer professional partnerships. So I have like 1 million queer families in my clientele, which makes me super happy because it's my people for one thing. And also I love seeing how everything has evolved over the last 15 years or so. When I was raising my kids with my partner, we were just the weirdos down the block. And now it's like everybody knows about this. So it's a really joyous thing for me to see the just what's going on out there. And I love being a part of it.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks so much, Ramon. Wendy, over to you.
Yes. So Fran, I just want to focus on the presentation.
Thanks.
And I wanted to say that I found you very engaging, very personable, and very relatable. Your tone and cadence throughout the presentation just kept me engaged the whole time. And I was really impressed that in 5 minutes, I totally believe I understand your competitive advantage. I was clear on what you do, the services you offer, and how your differentiator around sustainability and listening and being heard by your clientele just came through really, really clearly. In addition, the slides were really well done. It gave me enough of a picture, but it allowed me to focus on you, which was really critical.
I really appreciate that feedback. I hate making PowerPoint slides and I make them all the time. And these I literally made just for this. And I was like, oh, I'm not spending enough time on it. So thank you, Wendy.
No, you are. It was the perfect amount of information without being overwhelming. I wish I had something on a critical nature to say to help improve what you did, but I really only feel like I can, commend you for such a great presentation.
Aren't you sweet? Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. I feel always like the visual stuff is not really my forte. Thankfully now, two of the 5 of us at the firm have a great visual sense. And I always joke like, you should really tell me what to wear in the morning because I don't get all this. But I love visuals, and I've struggled hard, as I know any of you who do presentations, like too little information and it comes across weird, too much information and you're like, ah. So it is finding that balance. I do a ton of webinars and I understand that there's a balance to be had. So thank you for your feedback. It probably doesn't suit everybody, but it suited you. So that works.
Thanks.
All right. Well, judges, thank you. And Fran, awesome job. That was fantastic.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So happy to have you. We will now move to our third and final presenter of round 1. Don't go anywhere though after this presentation because we will have a second round of presenters coming up afterwards. But I'm so excited to turn it over to Rashunda with Adoration of the Queer Mind. Rashunda, it is all yours.
Hi, everyone. All right, let me get to my screen. Just a second. Not coming up correctly. I'm so sorry, guys. My son usually is supposed to present. Unfortunately, he's in the Netherlands and he's performing right now. So please excuse mom as I pull up his presentation. Okay, all right. Hi, everyone. I'm Rashonda, and I'm the co-founder of Adoration of the Queer Mind. Adoration of the Queer Mind is a lifestyle brand that I created with my son. My son is a queer man, and so when he came out, all honesty, it was not a kumbaya moment for us. It was a moment of self-reflection for myself, but definitely for him, it was a moment of clarity and being really strong. But in the midst of that, I noticed that he was still struggling mentally. And so I'm really big on journaling and mental health. And I was out there looking for something that will help my son, like what could help him in this journey of self-discovery. And I felt that there was nothing out there that really resonated for me to help him in his journey and self-discovery in the LGBTQ community. So therefore we created Adoration of the Queer Mind. And so with this brand, what we created creative tools to people to have their own voice, to create a safe place for people within the community to have self-love and self-discover while they're on their journey of self-discovery. While we do it, it's for mental health. As a mom of someone within the community, for me, I feel as though everyone has a purpose. So whoever they decide to love or be within this world, they deserve to do it in the most healthy way possible. And at times I realized that when my son was going through the journey, that he needed help. So our mission is to encourage people to embrace who they are, to define who they are along the way, to understand, as I tell my son, his diversity is his power. And I understand his fears as we've been walking through this together, that his fear of coming out. And then even as he was walking through his journey of defining who he was in the community, there was a fear associated with that as well. So here's our journal. One of the things I'm so proud of is that it's not just a journal that you just write in. It's a journal that also pulls in stories from people within the community where they're talking about their insecurities and also how they were able to overcome. Because when I saw the need in the community, like I don't see anybody that can help my son, how they went through it and walked through it. And so that's what we did. We reached out to individuals. And so my son found people in each aspect of the community to tell their story within the journal. And so also we want people to stay motivated and organized. So there are weekly prompts and monthly reflections within the book to where people can write on a weekly basis and give them prompts to kind of keep them going. And then to serve also a monthly reflection as well. Because as I was going through it with him and talking to him about it, he said he kind of needed that. He needed to kind of go back and reflect and look forward and also sometimes look back. And my favorite part is the affirmations. I think it's so important as you are walking through your journey of self-discovery that you are steadily being affirmed. So throughout the book, it steadily has you're destined for greatness. You can do this. To kind of keep people going, because at times, when we're going through issues that we just need someone to say, you can do this. Our journal. So our journal it's a felt cover journal because my thing was, I told my son, I want somebody, when they pick up this journal, they can feel a mother's love. The same love that I have for my son, I want it to be in each book, each journal that someone has. So the book has rose gold foil accents. It's a hardcover book. It has a felt covering, so it's really soft to the touch. Our target audience. So people, when we was kind of doing a deep dive on like, who would love this book? And so to me, it's people that we know that you're different. As my son would say, I knew I was different at a younger age. I knew I wasn't like everyone else, but I really couldn't just come out like I wanted to back then. And so those are the people we're looking for. It's that
1 minute left.
they know they're different, and then that they go through the journey, they're looking for something else to help them along the way. Our pricing. our 52-week journal is priced around $29. And we also have a pen set because Ricardo and I wanted to make sure that people, as you are picking up the pen, you will know who you are. So those pens have affirmations on it as well. Our business model has retail, direct to consumer subscription model, and B2, B2C. And our revenue projections we're hoping to hit when we launch this year is 50K. And so just a little bit about ourselves. My son handles all the design and marketing, and I handle all of the back end work of the operations and logistics. And like I said, currently my son lives in the Netherlands. He just graduated from Juilliard and he's performing right now, so he couldn't do the presentation. We've started a Kickstarter campaign just because I'm looking to expand to where we can get more books in, to where we can offer different nonprofits the books for free. And so thank you. This is Adoration of the Queer Mind.
All right, Rashonda, thank you so much. This is such a neat product. I will turn it over to our judges. So Ramon, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, thanks. Rashonda, great job. I love the brand. As you were walking through it, I was curious, is there any interest in going digital with the book?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Okay. And as you were walking through it, I was thinking to myself, digital book, then I was thinking like a community, maybe a network. And when you hit subscription fees, I thought to myself, like, wow, if you can like your clients, if you can bring your clients together so they can share those stories, I think that's so cool. Now I know they share them within the book. You had examples of that, but yeah, I think that would be great. The presentation's very good. I think it's clean. You know, it was very clear in terms of like what the intent is. I love that you shared your mission and you know, and your son's story as well. So it was a great presentation. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ramon. Wendy, over to you.
Rashonda, that was really fun to listen to. There are a ton of people who have journals, and I felt like your presentation made it clear what your differentiator as to why your journal over somebody else's journal was that the stories that you added, you know, I've got some journals and I just write in it, but the idea that there would be stories that I could, you know, feel, I thought that was really great. I like the affirmation. I think the most striking thing for me was I could feel the mom love. I could feel it in your presentation. I could feel it in the product. I could feel it in the slide. And so I really related to that. And I think, you know, if I were to say improve anything, I would lean into the mom love, because I think that's a huge, huge selling point. And then in addition, the only other thing was I kept thinking, oh my gosh, how much is this? How much is this? How much is this? And I had to wait till sort of the very end. Because the price is extremely reasonable as far as I'm concerned. And the price for the pens is great. So I'm thinking maybe a little more upfront as to the pricing, because then I would be able to just sit down and go, okay, the pricing is good. Let's really listen. So thank you, Rashonda. That was really fun.
Thank you.
Great feedback, Wendy. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, and Ernie.
Oh yeah, no, it was a great presentation. You can really see your passion for your product and service. And you know, I agree with Ramon and Wendy on both the going digital and then the pricing a little bit more upfront towards it. So the couple of areas that I would look at is and I know there's no cookie cutter model for this, but like a timeline on when somebody actually, you know, acquires your product and when they start like seeing some sort of, I mean, you know, getting their feedback. And there's, like I said, there's not going to be a right answer on how long it takes for somebody to do something, but maybe like an average time frame on when people really starting getting engaged and committed to you know, to what they're putting their input and getting their feedback from. The other aspect that I would say that I would ask is, like, I know you mentioned your son does the marketing, your customer acquisition model, like where are you guys advertising today? Are you guys on, you know, social media platforms? Are you doing, you know, anything with any other organizations putting your product out there and promoting your product? That would be something that I would look to be interested in your presentation.
Okay, and so we've had, he just graduated from Juilliard in July. So he has moved to the Netherlands. So there's been this delay. We only was using Instagram. And so now I'm having to do a little bit more. And honestly, I've just been really nervous. Just as a mom, I don't want to mess up anything, don't want to say anything wrong or do anything. And so I've been leaning more on him. But with his schedule, he doesn't have a break until June. So he's like, Mom, you can do it. Just I'll review it and you just put it out there. So I'm looking for, help, PR, to make sure that, because it's just so important to me. Like, I know there are hundreds of moms like me who just want to make sure that you feel our love, but we don't say everything right. And I just don't want to embarrass my kid. So honestly, I have it in my head, but my son, he has it down pat.
Yeah.
He couldn't be here today. It's night in the Netherlands, but I'm looking for someone to kind of help me in the journey in the States until he can get back on board in June when he has his break. And I just didn't know his little career was going to, not saying little, I'm so sorry. His career was going to blow up like this, where he's dancing in the Netherlands. So now I'm taking over a little bit more. So I'm looking for help. In the community to where I'm doing the right thing and reaching out, because we just have Instagram and Facebook right now.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay,
I
thank you.
foresee TikTok video being something that could be really helpful.
Really? Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, judges, thank you so much. And Rashonda, amazing job. That concludes our presentations for this round. But judges, I'd like to turn it over to you for some closing thoughts, reflections on the first three presenters that we've had here today. Any advice you would have for some of our presenters who are going into the next round?
I think relax, take your time and enjoy. Those kinds of sincere presentations, I think, are instantly grabbing and they resonate. So definitely have fun.
Great advice. Ernie or Ramon?
Nothing really from my end. And I agree. I mean, you can definitely tell the passion in all the presentations that are there, and that should be something that shouldn't be lost on. By as you know, I think the other two judges, Wendy and Ramon, we've also asked some of the business aspects of it, but not to lose that passion in their presentation and delivery.
Yeah, just echo the same statements as the other two judges, Wendy and Ernie. And as Wendy said too, have fun. This is great, and I appreciate all the presenters. I think those were great.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, judges. And I know Justin had to jump, but Rashonda and Fran, fantastic job. And thanks for kicking off this first round of Sip and Pitch for today. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a little over 10 minutes at 4 p.m. Eastern. So go pour yourself a drink, use the facilities, but don't go too far because we'll be back with 3 more awesome presenters. Thanks, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to round 2 of NGLCC Sip and Pitch Fridays. My name is Lauren Schweppe. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm our Director of Programs and Stakeholder Advocacy here at NGLCC. Before we get started with today's program, I want to just remind everybody that registration is open for the NGLCC 2022 International Business and Leadership Conference, which this year will be at the Bellagio in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that will be August 2nd through the 5th. It's going to be an amazing program, NGLCC's 20th anniversary conference. So we are so excited and would love to have you with us. So before we get started with round 2, I want to reintroduce our judges for those of you who are just joining us. We have Ramon Catania, Director of Supplier Initiatives at Dick's Sporting Goods, Wendy Jaquez, Staff Global Supply Manager at Cruise LLC, and Ernie Flores, Supplier Diversity and Inclusion Manager at Impact Spending for Impact Spending at Kaiser Permanente. Judges, thank you so much again for joining us and sharing your expertise with all of our presenters. So some rules and guidelines for today. Each company will have 5 minutes to pitch. We ask that only one presenter participates from each company. After our participants present, our judges will have 10 minutes to provide feedback and any questions that they have for our presenters. No presentation, no problem. This program is designed to be informal and provide real-time feedback for your company's pitch. A reminder that if you're not speaking, please keep your microphone muted so we can avoid any background noise. Team NGLCC will be providing warnings at 1 minute and at 30 seconds. Sean Honesty from our team will be providing those verbal warnings. Sean, can you say hello?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Lauren. Yep, just doing my job, so please don't yell at me.
Yes, Sean helps keep all of us at NGLCC on time, and he is doing so today during the presentation, as you can see there with the timer on the screen. Unfortunately, we can't do any kind of ding or gong sound, so Sean provides our verbal warnings at 30 minutes or 30 seconds and at 1 minute. This is a judgment-free zone designed to help enhance your pitch and grow your company, and all feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration. And lastly, but most importantly, have fun. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter of round 2, Influence Ecology. Take it away.
All right, great. Hi. All right, I will share my screen. And as I do that, I want to apologize in advance because I'm just getting over COVID. And so with that, I'm having some coughing issues. So hopefully I will not cough. We'll see how it goes. All right. First of all, my name is John Patterson. I am the co-founder and CEO of Influential U. I have been leading programs to people all over the world, probably 100,000 people at this point, different industry occupations, and so forth. And I have done so as an out gay man. We are a gay-owned company. And so for all of that time, we've had the privilege of leading to all of those people who have been quite accepting. So it's been a fantastic opportunity. Influential U was established in 2009, and we offer a higher education in something we call transactional competence. Now, I'll say exactly what that is, so relax, and I'll tell you what that looks like. I'll show you what that looks like. But basically, transacting is what you and I do every day. We're exchanging all the time with other people, and if we do it well, we win. So we teach individuals and teams all over the world to participate in these exchanges very successfully. Now, I'm here today to tell you about a program that we do in enterprises. It's a program called Transactional Competence across teams. And what I'll start with is by just talking a little about the cost of some things. There's a lot of revenue that you and I lose to dysfunctional teams or dysfunctional people or dysfunctional meetings. I don't know about you, but some meetings are just not great. Also, we lose a lot of revenue to meetings and projects that take too long, projects, programs, launches. And then there's the revenue that we lose when we're not first in the marketplace. And case in point, I'll talk a little bit about what we did with Western Digital. So if you're not familiar with Western Digital, they build the storage for half the world's devices. And they brought us in because they wanted us to help them develop the environment to pace human transaction with the speed of technology. We all know technology is moving very quickly, so they wanted to have us pace human transaction with all of that. And so we did that work. They wanted to reduce expenses, but more importantly, they didn't want to miss a market window. So the work that we did with them allowed them to be first to market. In fact, in the project that we did with them, they allowed them to move their cycle time from 18 to 5 months. If you can imagine the savings, but more importantly, what you can imagine is that they didn't miss the market. They were first to market window, which meant billions of dollars to their organization, millions in savings, billions of dollars to their organization. So fundamentally, we want to support people in doing that very thing. And what we do is we help teams and organizations achieve a lot more faster with less friction and dysfunction. Now, we do that through a program called Transactional Competence across teams. Now, I've used that word transaction a lot, but basically, if you transact well, you thrive. This is what a transaction looks like. And this is a framework for everything that we teach. And one of the easiest ways to see the benefit of this, if you think about a taxi and an Uber, basically, they're the same service, but every exchange in the transaction that you can see on the screen has removed the friction. We also look at all of the roles and personalities in a transaction and how they should play nice together. And when we do this, and when we use the framework that we teach, it allows people to reconsider how to move as a team. And instead of all of the stuff that tends to happen, people simply ask the question, where are we in this transaction? And therefore, who's leading? In the work that we did at both High Marley, Western Digital, and then also at the University School of Virginia, we move these transactions very, very quickly. It produces an environment of respect. It produces an environment of cooperation, and things get done so much faster. Again, the program is called Transactional Competence.
30 seconds.
Across teams. It's basically a 10 weekly sessions, $2,200 a team member. It's led by our senior faculty and me. And if you'd like to know more, we'll start with a consultation. And what you can simply do is email me. I'm John Patterson, the co-founder and CEO of Influential You, and you can reach me at my email address on the screen. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, John. And John and all of our presenters today, please feel free to drop your contact information into our chat so that anybody who's on the line today can contact you. But I am now happy to turn it over to our judges for some feedback. So Ernie, this round, we'll start with you.
Okay, good job, John. For me, I understand what you're doing, and I did like that you provided some base of a case study. But for me, in terms of providing some clarity on, are you on like the project management side of things, or are you doing initial trainings on how to always do your projects well?
Great question. Yeah, always. It's the latter. It's about how do you always do your projects well, how you get along with other people and teams and organizations, things like that.
And a follow-up question to that, just because I know the complexity of the organization that I work with is what sort of background research are you doing? Because it's easy to have a game plan on how to get things done quicker, but when you're dealing with large companies where there's a little bit of a bureaucracy or delays on either approvals or getting some sort of feedback from subject matter experts or whoever you're working on the project with, what sort of research do you do for a background in a company when you before you initiate your training?
I love that question. We actually work a lot with the people who might bring us in, and we do a basic kind of, we call it a chartering event. So we'll gather the cohort together that people are selecting, and then make sure that we understand the whole scope of the issue or the problem that there may be. But also in the first part of what we teach, we make sure that people understand that background kind of hierarchy and other things that are there running the show, because we're proposing some other things. We'll do as much research as we can and then come in and launch the program as an initiative-based program, Ernie. So it's not just, hey, we're here to teach you, good luck with what we taught you. It's more, you have a project, you have an initiative, and we'll use part of the time to actually train what we train, but then the other part of the time to make sure that it's directly applicable to whatever it is that team or that organization is working on. But it does start with a smaller cohort, and it typically is a team, a project team or an executive team or something like that starts.
Okay, that's all the feedback questions I have. Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, Ernie. Wendy, over to you.
John, so you hit on something that's super crucial, which was loss of revenue. So immediately, as a business person, I was drawn in. Okay, he's going to tell me how I can build revenue. So I thought that was really good. And to Ernie's point, showing those case studies, I think are really powerful. And you have 3 really good recognizable companies up there. But now my cynical mean side is going to jump in. You talked about your senior faculty teaching the classes, and my cynical side went, well, who are they? What makes them qualified over somebody else?
Yes.
So I was kind of, I know you only had 5 minutes,
Sure.
but I was really looking as a customer to be like, well, what's so great about your faculty? So maybe something to talk to that would be helpful.
That's great.
And the other cynical mean side of me went 18 to 5 month cycle time reduction. That's huge.
It is.
How? And was that really 100% what you did, or were there other initiatives? So I would have loved a little more detail on how you did that, because if you did do that, man, I'm giving you the money right now.
Yeah. Great stuff. Great stuff. Absolutely. And
Okay.
it wasn't just us. It was part of a larger initiative, but it was basically part of an agility initiative. And the people that were working on the agility initiative brought us in because they saw that the agility initiative didn't work without transactional competence. And so we basically were the grease for the whole thing. And now that group and many other groups are using our framework as a way to accelerate everything. So it's kind of been an amazing thing to watch. But great questions, really great questions, great feedback.
Well,
thanks.
John, I think that would have really strengthened your presentation if you had actually had discussed that part about the agility and you were brought in as grease, because then instead of being cynical, I could have just immediately been like, oh,
Great.
John, you go.
Good note.
Thanks.
Awesome. Great feedback, Wendy. All right, Ramon.
Hey, John. Great job.
Hey.
So I have a procurement background, and so my focus is always on like cost, right? Like when I think about like company spend. And so when you talked about revenue, I thought to myself, well, there has to be also too like a labor element here, like a labor cost per like productivity gain that you
Yes.
find likely from like the activities that you're doing. And so that was one thing I was curious about, is if you ever weave that into your conversations. Now that also too might be like an organizational structure perspective that's different, that in terms of your findings, but it's just where I went as you were presenting. And then also too, I really liked the 18 to 5 month example, but I again went to like, okay, like how do we have some dollar figures here? How can we tie that to like what's the return on the investment here? So you're talking, I think it was like 10, 90-minute sessions. So a lot of investment in terms of people's time, and certainly I recognize the value of that time, but also too just like, is there a way to equate the, specifically what the return would be in like quantitatively? So
Great.
All right. Well, judges, thanks for that feedback. And John, fantastic job.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to our second presenter of round 2, Shannon with Two Chicks Jerky. Shannon, the floor is yours.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. That's helpful first. How's everybody doing?
Doing well.
Nice. So I'm Shannon Ronan. I'm one of the owners of Two Chicks Jerky along with my wife. We are a women and LGBT owned Better For You jerky company. We started back in 2015 as an official business, but the idea for it basically came from, we were just making it at home for hikes and concerts and road trips and everything in between, and friends and family, and they kept requesting more of it. And it was, just didn't think much of it at the time, but we took off. We saved and went on a 4.5 month cross country road trip and just hiked and camped and ate and drank our way around the country and went to a ton of national parks. And kind of along that trip is when the idea really sprouted for us to, maybe we should think about making this a business of sorts. So we came back kind of full steam ahead wanting to do that. And we created a Kickstarter and got our original funding going. And so kind of away we went. And in the beginning, it was just the two of us, and we were just, delivering out of the back of our Honda Fit, like a case at a time, and getting one account at a time, just kind of walking into grocery stores, not really even knowing what the proper approach was as far as like, actually reaching out to buyers, and that there was actually a system in place, and we would just go in and introduce ourselves directly. And it, it worked pretty well for us. So that was really fun. So here, I'll share my screen. I have a little PowerPoint to share. You know what? Shoot, it's my computer's being funky about it. I will just verbally share the information. So about 4 years ago, we actually teamed up with a company called Zoe's Meats, who at that point took over a lot of our distribution and really helped us increase our volume to levels that were, much more manageable, drove our price points down so that we were able to really, increase our presence. So not just in Northern California, but, since then we've actually become nationwide, which has just it's been really great to see the growth. I think some of our, our key differentials are definitely the women and LGBT owned, especially in a very masculine market. But also just we're 100% grass fed. We've always used no antibiotics, no hormones, no nitrates, and we're gluten free. Which are all things that we're really proud of. We also created in 2019 a giving back initiative. So every month we donate a percentage of our profits to the Looking Out Foundation, which I'm not sure if you're all familiar with, but it's this amazing foundation that donates to causes, everything from environmental to civil rights to women's rights to immigrants. And it was started actually by the musician Brandy Carlisle and her wife and bandmates. So that partnership with them has actually been really great as well, as far as just kind of spreading our word and about our company. So we currently have, in the moment right now, we've got our classic and 2 hot chicks flavors in 1 and 2 ounce sizes. And we're just continuing to grow, and yeah, that's all. I think that's all I've got.
All right, Shannon, thank you so much. You're making me very hungry. I'm gonna have to grab a snack. All right, Wendy, over to you for feedback.
All right. So Shannon, thank you so much for that. I enjoyed hearing about how your company came to being. However, you only had 5 minutes to talk to me about wanting to munch down your product. And I felt like the initial story of how it came into being and the work that you've done with with the distributors and stuff wasn't really the meat, pun intended, of what I wanted. I wanted to know what made your product different, which eventually I got the 100% grass fed, and the gluten-free and the giving back. So that was great. But I also didn't know, well, where can I go get your product? Are you in Whole Foods or am I ordering it online? So I felt like I was missing how to go buy from you. Didn't understand your business model. And yeah, that was, otherwise it was great. And just like Lauren, I'm now hungry. So I want to know, where can I go buy your stuff?
So we have a store first of all, our website. On there, we have a store locator, so you can actually look at anywhere that near you that might carry it. We're carried it currently in Southern California Safeways. We're in about 300 of those. Bartels and out of Seattle, scattered, different breweries, sporting goods stores. So our website is a good informational base for you to be able to see where you can find it near you. And then obviously we have a strong online social presence on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So via any of those, you can click and buy as well.
Great. I will sign up to follow you on Instagram.
All right. Thanks, Wendy. Ramon, over to you.
Hi, Shannon. Great job. Nice to meet you.
Nice to
Yeah,
meet you.
so as you were walking through kind of your distribution, and you just mentioned sporting goods stores. That's where I went to, being from Dick's Sporting Goods, and we own Field and Stream, and in public land. So we have a couple other like storefronts that where I thought to myself like, wow, this could be a potential fit. One thing I just wanted to recommend from like the retail perspective is that a lot of organizations have discovery portals, and so I don't know if you've gone down that route. Like for instance, like we have on Dick's Sporting Goods website a product discovery portal where suppliers can register, and then our buyers pull that information down and they consider it for when they go through like their category reviews. And so I know, like Target, I'm just thinking like other suppliers or corporate organizations that have this, and you think about like Target and Amazon, Kroger, I know has the same one. And so something just to maybe check out. And then the last piece is that many, and like for instance, at Dick's Sporting Goods, I'm not promoting this organization, but we've partnered with a company called Range Me. And they actually do these supplier discovery portals for a lot of the corporations that I just mentioned, like Kroger and so on and so forth. So if you were to go out and register with them, you can kind of essentially promote yourself to all these different opportunities. So just one way to get discovered.
Thank you. Yeah, we're in Range Me. They're great.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Otherwise, great job. I agree with what Wendy mentioned around showcasing a little bit more on like the distribution, and you might have had that in your presentation too, that you had a little technical difficulty, but I think it was a great job. And love to hear your story. So great job.
Thank you. Thanks,
Ramon. And last but not least, Ernie.
Oh yeah, great job. Again, nice to meet you, Shannon. I actually work in the beef industry before, so I understand when you said the very masculine driven environment when you look in the beef industry. But no, I agree with Wendy, and then as Ramon also brought, just like saying where we buy your product. But one thing that I would say is like I think it would, and obviously I know you only had 5 minutes to present, but like your growth over the years, like when you started and how much you've grown and where you're looking to go, because I mean not everybody wants to be in every store out there all the time. Are you looking to stay kind of little in like a little niche market, or are you looking to expand as far as you can go? So that's the one area that I would have like questions on.
Right. Yeah, we've seen about a 320% growth since 2018, which is it was in my presentation as well. I kind of got a little thrown for a loop there. So, but thank you for bringing it up. Yeah, that's a huge thing for us, and we're very interested in growing as big as we can. I mean, honestly, that's what's been great with the strategic alliance we formed with Zoe's, was helping us, because in the beginning it was just the two of us. When you're doing such short, small volume, your costs, it's hard to be competitive. So it was really helpful to increase the volume to levels to make us more competitive, for sure.
Great. And Shannon, we've got a question in the chat here from Dave from our Palm Springs affiliate chamber. What local LGBTQ chambers do you partner with? Their members have small specialty food businesses other than the chain markets who would potentially be a good path to provide your product. It's a great point, Dave.
We're not currently, we're part of the NGLCC, which is what we, have been focused on, but that's a great idea. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, Dave said he's gonna reach out. Awesome. Yeah, and
ask you shall receive.
Yeah, so folks here on the line, and to our presenters and also just other suppliers, if you are not currently plugged into your affiliate chamber, you should be, because our affiliates are wonderful and they are such a great network for you to be plugged into. And if you have any questions at all, I'll put my email here in the chat, and I would highly recommend you reach out and we can help you find your affiliate chamber, because they're amazing and they're wonderful partners of NGLCC. So thanks, Dave. Glad to have you here.
Dave.
All right. Shannon, thank you so much for that presentation, and thank you, judges, for that feedback. We're going to move into our third and final presenter of the day. Yes, from Smash the Box. Yes, the floor is yours.
Gonna unmute myself. How do I go about sharing my screen?
You should have sharing capabilities now.
Oh, this will start screen sharing. Okay, haha. Thanks. All right, so hello from Seattle, Washington. Let me go ahead and put this in slideshow mode. My name is Yesugura. I use he and they pronouns, and I'm the founder of Smash the Box, along with a GSBA member here in Seattle, Washington. Okay, so what is Smash the Box? Smash the Box is a multidisciplinary, community-driven urban planning and design firm where we focus on equity and health here in Seattle, Washington. And I started Smash the Box in 2017 because I applied for over 170 jobs and essentially faced job discrimination. I'm openly transgender man, along with first generation El Salvadorian Americans. So as you can imagine, my whole urban planning industry is white, cisgendered, heteronormative, good old boy culture. So our motto is don't think outside the box. That box is outdated. Smash the box, recycle it, and repurpose it back into our ecosystem. We have 3 core values which help to guide all of our projects, being sustainability, inclusivity, and innovation. Now, when we say that we're community driven, we really are. We are working at local, essentially community-based organization scale, and then really looking towards helping to make impact and grow communities. But not only that, we're aligning with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which were established in 2015. Thank you, Obama. And so not only are we making local small impact, we're actually aligning with a lot of the global issues and helping to make this world a better place. Okay, so I have the crew here. It's just myself and Darren Lewis. He's a communications architect. He's also Black, gay man, and a veteran. As mentioned before, I'm open transgender man and first generation El Salvadorian American. And both of us being, having this business be led by queer, transgender, BIPOC people, also people that have experienced homeless. I can say that our perspectives are way different than the typical urban planning industry. Okay, so what exactly are we doing with Smash Box? Well, we're really moving towards a movement of redesigning our streets for people and not cars. Cars are parked 95% of the time. They provide over 30% of greenhouse gas emissions, which is the largest pollution industry in the USA. And they also kill about an estimated 40,000 people a year in the US. So the services that we're providing in order to help make that happen are urban planning, building and designing maps, and providing design, being that it's graphic design or street design, and communications. So I'd like to announce that our first contract that we have won is with the Seattle Department of Transportation, which is pretty major, in which we have been chosen with other community-based organizations in order to help provide community and outreach engagement, along with providing policy recommendations on envisioning what Seattle's transportation systems will look 20 years out from now. So Seattle Transportation Plan. And how we're smashing that box is that we're being innovative, right? We're using that new technology that really isn't, you have not seen in a typical community engagement like tabling event. And what we're doing is that we've actually teamed up with Team Bosco, y'all. RuPaul's Drag Race got here, Bosco and her graphic designers, which work within augmented reality, and that is Wahoo'ville. So we're asking them, hey, can you use essentially Google Tilt here in order to redesign our streets for people and not cars. So with that, that's my presentation. Once again, I use he and they pronouns. My name is Yesugura. I'm the founder. Have my contact information here. You can follow us on all the social media fields. And then I put a Venmo and PayPal because right now I'm actually selling my art, which I'm sketching people. And then since I'm also a cartographer, I'm learning how to screen print and selling these in order to just, bring joy into people's lives, but to raise money as I'm growing the urban planning and design firm. So feel free to donate.
Yes, thank you so much. That was fantastic. And it's so funny because was just talking about our affiliate chambers, and you've got the GSBA logo right there in the beginning of
Come
your
on now.
presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Love to see it. Thank you so much. I'm going
Yeah.
to turn it over to our judges. So Ernie, would you like to start us off? Oh, Ernie, you're on mute.
Sorry, great presentation. Sustainability is something that's very important to myself personally and the organizations that I work for as well. And listening to what you said, one thing that I would say is what I would like to know, because I mean, I'm obviously people have, you know, different backgrounds, is getting a little more detail on some of the work that you're doing, and how it and I don't know how I know you only had 5 minutes to present, but
Yeah.
if it was a longer presentation, getting a little more into the weeds of things of what you're doing. And also, you know, when you're saying reducing cars, given that, you know, I work for a corporation and, you know, we do have a presence in the Washington area, are you looking at partnering with any corporations on like commuter plans when you're looking to reduce you know, cars off the street? We have a pretty significant commuter plan in our operations in the Washington area. So are you working in that area at all?
Yes, identifying the stakeholders essentially to partner with in events. Yes, we are looking to, I mean, we've broken it down by federal government, state, local, and then into private industries, and then the nonprofit world, which is typically where the community works. But I'm noticing it's just like, how am I supposed to hire people when I'm barely starting up? Like, I can't get a loan or anything because I've been homeless. Like my credit, like when I came out as lesbian, like my parents are from El Salvador, so the barriers for me are way, like they're pretty up there. So, but yeah, that's a great recommendation of who else to partner with.
That's all I have.
Awesome. Thanks, Ernie. Ramon.
Yes, great presentation. Very, very fascinating work. I thought it was great. One note I wanted to make mention of on the slide with the crew, you made mention of life experiences and how that, you know, is unique to your team and what you can provide, you know, to these you know, these projects that you're working on. And so I was hoping to get some of those examples, right? Some of those unique examples that you had, or some of those ideas that you had from that slide. And so that was just one thing where I really enjoyed that statement in the background that you provided the team. And I was like, all right, give me more. So that was one note I wanted to make mention of. And then you did answer the question. I was curious too how your like penetration, like how you're getting your work, you know, are you doing bids? Is this government? I was just curious in that, some of that, like how are you getting these projects into your portfolio?
Yeah, so essentially, you know, I graduated with my master's degree in urban regional planning, where I focused on self-driving cars and then also LGBTQ communities. Ironically, that was at Florida State University, and you know, I decided, hey, state of Washington, Seattle have laws that actually promote. What was that, Alexa? Sorry, my echo device that allow for me to live a quality of life, be able to get top surgery and all of that. So really, hold on. I totally forgot your question now. Hey, pandemic break. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. I was just curious on how your penetration's working.
Yeah.
Like, how is it government bids, or really where you're targeting?
It's really everything. I'm applying for artist grants. I'm looking into essentially everybody that's in the transportation world. So after graduating, I drove to Seattle and I joined YPT, which is Young Professionals in Transportation Seattle. It's a grassroots nonprofit. And then I just kind of infiltrated there, was doing autonomous vehicle presentations and just getting my name out there. So I'm I would say pretty well networked, to the point where people were offering me jobs. And I was just like, no, I need to make this happen. And how can I get that going? And it's just, one of the people that I worked with did a small contract with. They were like, hey, we have this $1.5 million contract with King County Metro. We want to work with you. So once again, it's just a little bit hard to essentially, like, how am I supposed to provide this person $60,000 a year when I have like $10 in my bank account right now. I mean, being straight up with y'all. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, hey, great job. I really enjoyed the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks for that feedback, Ramon. And Wendy, over to you to round out our judging feedback.
All right, that was really interesting. There's this saying that timing is everything, and the idea of repurposing the streets for humans instead of cars. I think out of the COVID pandemic, your timing is so perfect because a lot of us realize that, hey, it's kind of nice sitting outside and it's kind of nice being able to ride our bike without being run over. So I think that you have a huge advantage of your timing. So way to go on that. I also, kind of like Ramon, I appreciate the struggles, and I would love to see you use those struggles to convince people to work with you. You know, your being homeless and your identity journey, all of those things, I think, give you a creative advantage, and it gives you a business differentiator. And I would really like to see you lean in to doing that. So I thought that was great. I only worry a little bit because you're so early in this journey and you kind of are throwing things in all directions, from art, you know, to AVs, and I don't know if you can really figure out what you want and focus, or if you're just in a position where you need to get some income and by goodness, you're gonna do everything and hustle everything to do it. But I do know it's hard enough to start a business without being really focused. But love the concept of smashing the box. That makes me remember you. And it was a great, heartfelt presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. That was such a fantastic presentation and a great way to close out our third and final presentation of round two. So before we move into, we'll take a short break before communities and conversation, but I want to give the judges an opportunity to give some final feedback or just general thoughts on our presenters today. So Ramon, we can start with you.
Yeah, really no further feedback. I just wanted to thank everyone for their presentations. You know, the passion that everyone has for the businesses that they're driving was evident, and so I really enjoyed hearing about everyone's work. And good luck.
Thanks, Ramon. Ernie?
No, I echo with what Ron said as well, in terms of you can definitely tell the passion and that all the presenters today, you know, really believe in the companies and the ideas that they're moving forward with.
Thanks, Ernie. And Wendy.
Yeah, +1 to everything from Ernie and Ramon. And in addition, as a business person, a reminder to all the presenters that you are trying to sell me something, and to always focus your words and presentation to what's in it for me and what's going to motivate me to buy your product or service. And that's all I have.
All right, well, judges, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us and with all of our presenters today. And thank you to our 6 presenters for your amazing presentations. I know it can be a little nerve-wracking sometimes to present your business to a group of people and to a panel of such esteemed judges. So wonderful job. We are going to be back in just a little bit, probably 4 minutes. So we'll come right back at 4:45 Eastern for some community and conversation. So don't go anywhere. Go pour yourself a beverage, and we will see you again shortly.